In the last video, I recounted the situation where Anna's spouse got diagnosed with a spinal cord issue that affected the nerves in his upper body. This was tragic, also because he was an Olympic level swimmer. Anna had lived her life with a certain practicality and had chosen experiences in a manner and at a time that gave her comfort and relief. However, so far, she had not had an experience of this magnitude that would impede her husband's ability to provide for their family and to even sustain himself physically. Most of her prior life experiences could be rated at a max of a 2.5 on a scale of 5 in terms of her level of emotional endurance. This served her well to get out of experiences which she thought didn't serve her at any point in her life, be it a job change, a romantic relationship, or even friendships or ties with family members. But now, being in this experience, her nervous system couldn't quite handle the behemoth of an experience that life was putting her through. She felt intense fear of losing her husband, her financial freedom, her lifestyle, and didn't quite know how to deal with it. So she almost went through a breakdown, though they clinically didn't term it that. I don't intend to explore the journey that she went through, but would like to talk about the main gaps that this level of emotional endurance can create and how one could alleviate it. You operate to protect yourself and have an invisible shield where you think that warding off negative experiences will keep you aligned to your life goals. You think that hitting a goalpost and ticking off a list of things you wish to achieve by a certain time is a measure of success. We are all different personalities and there are reasons for it. So this isn't about trying to change yourself if something works for you. But you can also not get batshit crazy when emergency strikes. Anna could have done this by maintaining a bond with some family and well-intentioned friends who are different from you and call you out if they think you're wrong in dealing with a situation. Now, this can be something less extreme, like being triggered and reacting in an unpleasant way with a sibling or even a stranger on the road. Course correcting in low intensity situations builds the muscle to be better prepared for a mega event. I don't know if this is directly related to Anna's situation, but I followed my train of thought when I was writing this piece of content. And I feel that apologizing to people whom you have wronged over time can do wonders. And we don't need to be dramatic here. The apology is more a realization or even a telepathic communication or thoughts of forgiveness rather than speaking it out loud to the person or sending them a note. You can do it, but you don't need to do that. Let's now talk about Megha's situation, where her sister, brother-in-law, and herself went on a camping trip and had an argument about whether to go on a mountain hike or to chill by the campfire and listen to local music in the daytime. Logistically, they couldn't have done both because of the time it would take to hike. This was a famous one. It's called Half Dome and it's in the Yosemite National Park. So you're looking at about 10 to 12 hours of hiking. And Megha and her brother-in-law were very interested in the hike. However, due to the conflict in the personalities of the sisters and the dynamics they shared at the time, her sister's decision trumped the other party's joint desire to trek. This was a shame for both Megha and her brother-in-law, but Megha didn't quite express her feelings verbally, but felt them intensely. Her emotional endurance, I'd say, would be a 4.5 on a scale of 5. And it's also because she's a fighter, a survivor. And you can put her in multiple situations and she'll come out alive. But her methods of dealing with it are not self-loving. So she carries the hurt and keeps grudges. The fact that she can endure a lot means that she's been exposed to different types of people, and very few people will get that kind of exposure. Because if certain people test your limits, you may not be able to include them after a point. But she goes beyond them. But this quality has meant that she has not set boundaries with people at the right time. This experience was certainly a crack in the cup for the sisters. But let me talk about the main gaps it can create for people like Megha and how they can alleviate it. They are unable to discern between the experience of feeling repressed emotions as they use their might or will to feel them and feel fear when they think about them, as opposed to feeling the negative emotion, which is a willing submission to those feelings, to understand yourself and not try to remove them. They assume that people know how they feel and think. Everyone is not you. Thoughts and feelings need a line of communication in a way that serves a particular relationship. Megha can better deal with it by surrounding herself with people or being in an environment where she feels comfortable being her authentic self. Because moving directly to self love practices is possibly a huge leap for her in her current situation. A person who has too much repressed stuff will really benefit from writing it all out, which will lighten their load. They can either keep it or destroy those sheets of paper, whatever feels better. But ideally, write on paper and don't type it out. It's great to be able to do things regularly or periodically, but we all fall off the wagon. So it's also very, very okay to do it as and when you feel like it and not impose any rules of frequency or timeline. Finally, let's delve into Helen's situation, where her very good school friend and business partner went through a personal and ancestral property related financial crisis, which impacted his behavior and left Helen feeling alone, as he was absent as a friend and colleague. You know how someone said that one should be like water? Helen was like that, adaptable, malleable, and I'd also say her emotional endurance level was a 4.5 on a scale of 5. She fulfills herself by expressing through her words and actions, which both come from understanding. But overgiving gets exhausting, which leads such individuals to act out. So while her emotional endurance may have benefits in several areas of her life, the downside of it is that if such individuals experience emotional betrayal or paucity of a trait in the other, which is their core need, they can take extreme steps, which in Helen's case was coming in the form of Mark not being there for her when she had to attend to precarious and distasteful situations she was experiencing in their business that could have gotten them in legal disputes and caused reputational damage, one of which involved embezzlement of funds by a senior employee. This caused her to give up on their partnership, agree with the board to restructure roles, and she stepped down from her position to take another role in the same company. But that did not involve her working with Mark so closely. This may seem like a passive aggressive method of operating, but Helen, in her own way, had voiced her concerns to Mark many a times. But Mark was nonchalant and had taken their friendship as an excuse to justify slip ups in their business partnership. This turned out to be an irreversible error. Speaking of the main gaps for people like Helen and alleviation strategies, Helen is not strong in, or at least delays asking for what she specifically wants. And this can push the boundaries of her endurance. And she feels she has a lot going on and people are taking her for granted. Also because she believes in delivering at a very high standard. People like her may sometimes be committed to an individual in business or other relationships where people suck a lot of this person's time and energy. As such, people are complete givers. But that backfires as you cannot pour from an empty cup. Helen could better deal with this situation by being specific, assertive, and definite about what she was going through during Mark's absence, and to tell him what she needs from him much earlier. She is a wordsmith and gentle, so she couldn't go wrong with the way of communication. But specificity is essential. Such people usually take a lot on and try to immerse themselves in everything. But the resolution to continue being the giver you are and operating with love and understanding is to set boundaries of what is acceptable much sooner. This, of course, is only learned when experienced, but there is little wisdom in being bitten more than twice and not learning the lesson. And what are you trying to avoid facing by being an overgiver and making people dependent on you? That's all I have to share in this video. Please do comment if you have a different perspective, and I would be interested to know your views. Creating these videos help me with inner reflection. I hope that the content on my channel helps you to reflect on your emotions. Thank you for watching till the end. I'll see you in the next video.